Hi everybody, it's the Soap Man. Have my weekly video here for you. About a month ago, I did a variation on the drop swirl. I used white, black, and brown, and man, that was one of my favorites. The way it ended up pouring, the way it ended up looking, and the way it ended up smelling, because it had cocoa. It had it had cocoa butter in it. So what I do with traditional drop swirl, you just kind of pour a base, like maybe half of your white, and then you pour at a high level different colors in here. Well, what I did instead of that, I poured like a color, a color, a color, and then alternated. But the point was still to pour very high so that it pierces through, and it ended up being one of the nicest looking bars of soap I've ever made. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use different colors though. What I want to do is have a brown. I want sort of a creamy pink and like a sort of a sky blue. I'm not a pastels fan, but a lot of the people who give this really like the pastel look. And of course it's all the same soap. It doesn't matter what it looks like, even if it's just plain white. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and get my oils and my lye water emulsified. I'm going to put some titanium dioxide into it. I'm going to be using a good bit of that. The blue that I have is called Bright Jeans Blue. It's not the brightest blue, so I'm going to mix it with titanium dioxide. The pink that I have is Brambleberry's Electric Bubble Gum. It's a very hot pink, and I don't want that hot pink, so I'm going to be toning it down with white. And I'm going to be using Hershey's Cocoa Powder for my brown. So let's go ahead and get these emulsified and mixed up, and then I'll show you the pour again. I posted the recipe in the description box below, so you can write it down if you want to. Those of you who watch me, you know the lye water is very cloudy. I put a pretty fair amount of Testa Silk into this to give it a nice silky texture. That's why it's cloudy. I'm going to pour this in. They are both, the oils and the water are both cooled down to about 110, which is a nice temperature because I want a relatively thick trace. Not pudding thick, but definitely not thin. Just kind of a medium thick. So here we go. Let's stick blend these, get them emulsified. I'm going to put a little bit of titanium dioxide in at that point. Split it off, color it, and pour. This is the first time I've ever used mango butter. This has mango butter in it and I've never used it before. I'm curious to try and see how it works. Alright, that's good for a start. That's what I'm going to do to start because I'll stick blend this some more when I get the colors mixed in. So that gives me a nice creamy looking base, which should tone down some of these really, really bright, vivid colors like that hot pink. So let's split this up. We'll do it in 3 colors, 3 cups. This does not have to be exact, obviously. I'm just going to eyeball it and get it relatively close. I know my recipe normally, when I have 4 of these, if I get it up to the top of the P, that does it. But this is just 3 colors. So I'm going to get it up about to the logo. And they're all relatively close, so I'm just going to continue pouring a small amount in each, because once again, it does not have to be exact. Just close, and they're all definitely close. Let's scoop this out. Okay, and I'm finished with this. Alright, now I got my whisk handy to whisk these in. I'm going to go ahead and put all of the brown in because I want a fairly dark brown to contrast those lighter colors. I'm going to put all the brown in. I'm going to start with probably half of the pink and half of the blue. And whisk these in. So we're going to start with the lightest, so I will start with the pink. Yep, that's kind of what I want. Actually, that's a little bit darker than I want, but that's good enough. I'm not going to worry about that. That's good enough. It's not that bright hot pink, which I definitely don't want. The blue, well, no, the blue's a little darker than I wanted. I was hoping more like a sky blue. And it just might not be a possibility with this particular blue. So maybe I just want more of the blue to come through instead, since I'm not going to get the sky blue I was hoping for. It's a little more gray, but you know, it's alright. I'm just not going to worry about it. Mix the brown up, because now the brown is going to get light. But when it goes through saponification, it will darken up. I've done it enough times to know. And in case you're wondering, I am not scenting this. I often don't scent my soap, and this is one I'm not scenting. I don't have a scent that I think goes with this, or one that I think would, and I'm not really good with that anyway. And I don't want to risk acceleration or anything. So because I have a lot of titanium dioxide, I'm running the risk of glycerin rivers as it is. I don't want to push my luck with that. I've done a water discount. I'm going to make sure it's very well mixed, and I'm probably not going to let it go through gel phase. So let's start with this. Let's go lightest to darkest, which I believe is going to be the blue. I just want it moderately thick. Okay, now I'm going to clean that off before I put that in the pink. I will be right back. Please bear with me just a moment. Alright, let's get ready. My finger is off the trigger, so I'm not going to accidentally stick blend my finger. My finger is well away from the trigger. Alright, let's do the pink. Let's do the brown. And let's pour. I can already tell I did the blue just a little bit too much. It's really thick. I'm going to have to work fast. So, let's put these aside. You know what? I can already tell that's not going to pour. So, a couple of weeks ago, I did a method called the spoon plop. And I told you sometimes, unexpectedly, your soap thickens up just a little too much. And that's when the spoon plop becomes a great technique. That's too thick to pour. I'm not going to even try it. So I'm going to go ahead and stick blend this just a little bit more and get it even thicker, and we'll do the spoon plop instead. I was looking forward to that drop swirl pattern with these to try that again, but it's alright, it's just not going to work. So, that's why I like this spoon plop, because when your soap thickens up, it's a great alternative method. But I need 3 different spoons, and I have them here. This is such a cool method to save your soap when it gets too thick all of a sudden, like this is done. Just take one and plop it in. But you do not want to plop the same color on top. You want to alternate your colors, or at the very least mix them up. Don't spoon it in, plop it in. That's why it's called the spoon plop. And because this is a thick trace, you will have to pound it down periodically throughout the pour, or throughout the plop. Man, that blue is really thick. Just did not expect that. Not expect that at all. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is just put these on top. Make sure they contrast. Cannot believe how this thickened up. I've never used mango butter. I don't know if that's it or not, but I kind of don't think so. And just do the best I can to make a textured top on this. I'm going to get these spread out like as best I can. We'll tap it down one more time, and we'll try to texture it. Okay, here we go. So this end's going to have a blue textured top or blue and pink, and you know what? Hey, I kind of like it if they mix together. That's all right. And the middle's going to have sort of a pink and brown. And the end's going to have a brown and blue. Now, I think that I am not, because it's misbehaving, I'm not going to gel this. I'm going to spritz this with alcohol since it's really thick on top. And I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the refrigerator and not let this gel. So here goes the alcohol. My first one. I'll come back in about 5 minutes and do it again. Because I do not want glycerin rivers in this. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to come back in about 5 minutes, spray it again, plop it in the fridge, and I'll see y'all tomorrow for the cutting. Here's kind of what it looks like. So, you know, it's going to have a different top depending on where it's cut. Thanks for watching, and I will see y'all tomorrow.